Margo King. We can talk about the monster trucks. We're talking about the Triple Crown. 3 different types of competition tonight for the trucks and the monster tanks. We've got side-by-side car crunching action. Then we've got a giant leap contest where they leap 30, 40, 50 feet in the air. And when you got a 10-ton monster truck landing, it's about a 7 on the Richter scale. And then the final, for the first time in Seattle, the monster trucks will draw the sled, will pull the sled. And Margo also side-by-side mud bog competition.
And on the West Coast, the mud bog racers throw away those DOT tires, put on the paddles and the scoops, and sling some mud.
Gonna be wild, so don't go away. There won't be any rain inside the Kingdome, but plenty of mud. We'll be right back with all the action.
Hold it, ho, ho, ho. So you're gonna finally meet Cindy, huh?
Tonight.
Good. So first impressions are very important.
I think.
Okay. Now imagine, lights are low, the music's soft.
Side-by-side mud bog eliminations. The Stroker, an extended wheelbase Chevy pickup with a big 454 Chevy engine. Going up against
The Sand Savage, driven by Dorothy Cheech out of Victoria, British Columbia. This young lady's 28 years old, already has 5 years experience driving these mud vehicles. And she's going to need that experience to keep that 1986 CJ5 on the racetrack. There's a shot of her. Give us a smile. There you go.
She's pretty. Okay, lining them up. The Stroker against the Sand Savage. And there they go. And again, they are running against each other, not against the clock. And look at Dorothy Cheech fly through those tracks.
That lady meant business.
A beautiful run. That's a fiberglass-bodied CJ5, the big Chrysler engine. And she is happy, Margo.
Had no problem keeping that 2,800 pounds on the racetrack and way ahead of the competition.
Let's take a look back in slow motion. This is the Stroker. Off the line, a little squirrely, Margo King.
He didn't get that planing he needed right off the starting gate. Then those flames coming out of the exhaust pipes, not a good sign.
Let's take a look back at the Sand Savage, Dorothy Cheech. Again, it's a fresh track. There's been no grooves laid down on this side yet. 3:24 the clocking, and she flies through the tracks. Coming up again. Coming up next, it'll be Jumpin' Jack Flash, Bob Moran, out of Renton, Washington. He's been driving for 6 years. It's a CJ7, a funny car with a Chevy 351 cubic inch engine going up against.
And here comes the Mud Buster, driven by Ron Holt. Now, don't think this is a Datsun. Just on the outside, underneath, we've got a powerhouse of a Chevy 472 big block.
Woo, that's a lot of horsepower. Look at those monster tires.
900 horsepower, to be exact.
Most of these machines are running nitrous oxide alcohol, putting out over 1,000 horsepower, ladies and gentlemen.
And there's a brave cameraman view of the track.
They move up to stage. Jumpin' Jack Flash, Renton, Virginia. Renton, Washington, rather. The yellow machine on the far lane. They're staging. The Mud Buster near us. The track crew says we're ready to go, and let's get racing. And Jumpin' Jack Flash lives up to its name, jumps off the line and through the clocks first. A beautiful run by Bob Moran of Renton, Washington.
Leaving a smoldering 1970 Datsun in the mud.
We might point out they don't use radiators because they're not running that long, just 3 to 4 seconds. There's Jumpin' Jack Flash. 3.12 seconds. That's incredible.
Already they're playing havoc with the grooves in that track. These paddles definitely lay out some tracks.
Yes, they do. They really dig it up. Take a look at the from overhead. Slow motion run. Jumpin' Jack Flash on the left. The Mud Buster on the right. And that's the difference between first and second. Again, another machine getting sideways in the beginning, and that costs precious time. 5.10 seconds. A long, long time to get to that 200 feet.
Still throwing up a lot of mud, though. Looks good.
Yep. It looks good, but he took an awful lot of time to get through it. Over 1,100 horsepower. And they are towing out the Mud Buster. Did not make it all the way through. 200 feet long, and the track, we might point out, is about 2 feet deep at the beginning and up to 4 or 5 feet deep at the end.
And about 20,000 gallons worth of water on each track. And here comes the Eagle's Nest, the nest for the next lineup, driven by Jim Kimball out of Kent, Washington. He's 44 years old and owns his very own Hydro Pacific truck wash. Boy, that'll come in handy after this event.
Going up against Deja Vu, this is Ken Jobin of Auburn, Michigan, 35 years old. He's a machinist, has been racing 2 years professionally. That's Deja Vu in the far track, and we're ready to go. Neck and neck, and it is Deja Vu. I think I've seen this before, going all the way through the clocks. And a nice run, but remember, they are drag racing side by side, Margo, for the first time on television.
And you can see that these drivers aren't necessarily prepared for the expertise, that perfection that it takes in a drag racing situation. I think Eagles Deja Vu actually loaded his motor up at the starting gate. You saw all that exhaust flying out.
Got kind of a slow start and then caught up and passed him at midpoint. 3.12 seconds for Deja Vu. 68 Chevy CJ5. Let's take a look at the competition.
The Eagles Nest got not a bad time for, he got initially good start, but then just did not have either his vehicle's not set up properly, or his power plant isn't giving him the drive he needs to really make a good clean run of this, and suffered from it.
So the Eagles Nest falls to Deja Vu. Let's take another look at from the overhead camera. Again, Deja Vu on the right gets off the line first, but I'm sorry, Eagles Nest on the right gets off the line first, then Deja Vu comes through. Coming up next, beautiful machine, the CJ5 of Steve Loesch. That's the name of it, CJ5, out of Kent, Washington, just down the freeway. And look at this machine, Margo.
Delirious, and I think they were delirious when they put this thing together. But look, in the driver's seat, we've got Cher Shogren, unusual name. She's 32 years old, out of Auburn, Washington. She's a dental assistant, another female in the ranks here.
So far, the CJ5s, the CJ6s, and 7s have dominated this competition at the Seattle Kingdome. Let's take a look now and see what's... oh, look at that tire. See what happens here. Whoa, and yes, again, the CJ comes through, and something happened to Delirious.